For championships in a decade, 6 finals runs, and a dynasty that redefined basketball. Now, after a string of disappointing seasons, the Warriors are making one last push to reclaim their throne. For championships in a decade, 6 finals appearances, a dynasty that defined a generation. But after a few quiet, disappointing years, the Golden State Warriors are taking one last shot at glory. This offseason, they made bold moves, adding veteran Al Horford, signing sharpshooter Steph Curry, and re-signing Jonathan Kuminga. The hope? That alongside Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and new arrival Jimmy Butler, the Warriors can make one final championship run. But with an aging, expensive roster, a question looms large. Does the NBA have a Warriors problem, or do the Warriors have a Warriors problem? Last season told both sides of that story. For most of the year, Golden State was painfully average, 9th in the West, barely over .500 at 25-26. Then came the trade for Jimmy Butler, and everything flipped. With Butler's intensity, leadership, and two-way brilliance, the Warriors went 23-8, posted the best defensive rating in the NBA, and ranked 3rd in net rating during that stretch. They finished 48-34, good for the 7th seed. Just 4 wins behind the 2nd place Houston Rockets. In the play-in, Steph and Jimmy carried the Warriors past Memphis. They stunned Houston in a brutal 7-game series. But in the conference semifinals against Minnesota, disaster struck. Golden State took Game 1, but Curry strained his hamstring, missing the next 4 games. By the time he was ready for a Game 6 return, it was too late. The Timberwolves closed the series out 4-1. The season ended short of a finals run, but one thing was clear: the Warriors were still dangerous. With Curry, Butler, and Draymond leading the way, they were a few smart pieces away from true contention. The problem? Time. The championship window was closing fast. So entering the offseason, the front office had 3 big priorities. 1. Decide on Kuminga's future, either re-sign him or explore trades. 2. Find a consistent third scorer to relieve pressure from Curry and Butler. 3. Add frontcourt depth and size, something they've lacked since losing Kevin Durant's versatility. But the plan didn't unfold smoothly. For weeks, the Warriors were the punchline of NBA free agency memes. Every team seemed to be making moves, except Golden State. Their logo sat empty on social media graphics, the only one without a single addition. It took 91 days before they finally made a move, re-signing Gary Payton II and promoting 2nd-round pick Will Richard to a standard contract. Then, momentum shifted. They landed Al Horford, Seth Curry, and Anthony Melton, all smart, experienced additions, and finally secured Kuminga on a team-friendly deal. Now, with the season around the corner, the Warriors haven't exactly retooled with precision, but they've built a roster that can still contend. Payton remains a defensive spark plug. Kuminga's growth could elevate their ceiling. And the new additions, Horford's leadership, Seth's shooting, and Melton's energy, give this team one more fighting chance. Golden State isn't promising a rebuild. They're promising one last stand.
The drive, he kicks it to Horford, 3-pointer on its way, and down it goes again! Al Horford!
Steve Kerr has been searching for a true floor-spacing big man for years. It's why the Warriors experimented with Dario Saric, drafted Quinton Post, and spent months linked to Al Horford. And now, they finally got their guy. At 39 years old, Horford might be the oldest player in the Warriors' rotation, but he's still incredibly effective. Last season in Boston, he played 60 games, averaging 9 points, 6 rebounds, and elite spacing from the center position. He's the definition of the modern big man, a player who can stretch the floor, defend multiple positions, facilitate offense, and make smart, unselfish plays. What makes Horford particularly valuable in Golden State is how perfectly his skill set complements the Warriors' stars. His shooting helps offset the lack of spacing from Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, 2 players who do everything except shoot from deep. Horford, a career 38% three-point shooter, should thrive alongside Steph Curry. Sharing the floor with the greatest shooter of all time could easily bump his percentage closer to the 40% mark he posted in Boston 2 years ago. Add in his rim protection, playoff experience, and high basketball IQ, and it's easy to see why Kerr wanted him so badly. Of course, there's a downside. age and durability. Golden State is already managing an older core, and Horford will need careful load management. Even if he stays healthy, you can expect him to miss around 12 to 15 games simply for rest. But the good news? His game has never relied on athleticism. He plays smart, efficient basketball, 25 minutes a night of perfect reads, defensive rotations, open threes, and timely stops. If he stays healthy and maintains his shooting touch, this could easily go down as one of the smartest late off-season moves in the league. If not, and the Warriors fall short again, it'll look like a desperate roll of the dice. Beyond Horford, Golden State addressed another weakness: perimeter shooting off the bench. Enter Steph Curry, an 11-year veteran who's quietly become one of the league's most consistent shooters. Over his career, he's played for 9 different teams, but his specialty never changes: elite efficiency from three. Last season in Charlotte, he led the entire NBA in three-point percentage at a ridiculous 45.6%. Seth isn't expected to be a major rotation piece, but injuries always test depth, and his presence gives Steve Kerr flexibility. Imagine a lineup featuring both Curry brothers, Steph, Seth, Klay, if still around, and Horford. That's spacing heaven. Even if he plays 15 to 20 minutes a night, Seth's shooting gravity can completely alter the Warriors' offensive rhythm. Then there's DeAnthony Melton, a familiar face who's back with something to prove. He played just 6 games for Golden State last season before tearing his ACL and was later traded to Brooklyn in the Dennis Schroeder deal. But during that brief stint, he looked like a seamless fit, averaging 10 points per game, shooting 37% from deep, and bringing the kind of defensive energy that made him a fan favorite in Philly. Health remains the concern. Between the knee injury and lingering back issues, consistency has been the challenge. But if Melton can stay on the floor for 65 to 70 games, bringing his usual defensive intensity and reliable outside shot, this could be one of the most underrated signings of the entire offseason. And just like that, a summer that started with silence ended with momentum. The Warriors went from being mocked for inactivity to quietly building a deeper, smarter, and more balanced roster, one that finally fits their system. Horford adds stability, Melton brings grit, Seth provides shooting, and Kuminga is finally locked in. For the first time ever, the Curry brothers share a locker room, and Golden State has just enough firepower to chase one last title in a brutal Western Conference. But make no mistake, in all of this, the Warriors' biggest X factor isn't a veteran. It's Jonathan Kuminga.
And up ahead,
Jonathan Kuminga was also the reason the Warriors' off-season dragged on for months. Golden State explored several sign-and-trade options early, hoping to either retool around Steph or turn Kuminga into a win-now piece. Sacramento reportedly offered Devin Carter, Dario Saric's expiring contract, and a protected first-round pick. Phoenix floated a package built around Royce O'Neal and multiple second-rounders. The Kings even considered sending Malik Monk and a pick, but that deal would have forced the Warriors to move either Buddy Hield or Moses Moody, a step the front office wasn't willing to take. Golden State held firm, insisting any trade had to include an unprotected first-round pick. When no team met that price, negotiations with Kuminga's camp restarted. After 92 days of talks, leaks, and growing fan frustration, the two sides finally reached an agreement, a 2-year, $48.5 million deal with a team option for the 2026 to 27 season. From the Warriors' perspective, it was a quiet victory. They retained the all-important team option, avoided handing out a qualifying offer, created a tradable salary slot, and maintained long-term flexibility. The structure of the deal sends a clear message. Kuminga is viewed as an asset, not a franchise cornerstone. He's either the bridge to Golden State's next era or the trade chip that keeps their title window alive in this one. It's easy to see why the team is torn. Kuminga is a physical marvel, explosive, powerful, and capable of guarding multiple positions. His athleticism jumps off the screen. But within the Warriors' motion-heavy read-and-react system, that athleticism hasn't always translated into consistent winning basketball. His cuts are sometimes late, his reads occasionally offbeat, and the on-court chemistry with Steph and Draymond remains a work in progress. Still, Kuminga started 56 games over the past 2 seasons and averaged at least 15 points in both, proof that, for all the growing pains, his potential remains undeniable.
gets into the paint. Nice feed, Kuminga. Kuminga the slam.
When Jimmy Butler arrived in Golden State, everything changed, but not for everyone. Jonathan Kuminga's role shrank down the stretch. In the first round against Houston, he was barely on the floor, logging just 50 total minutes across 7 games and averaging only 6 points on 30% shooting. Then came the Western Conference semifinals against Minnesota, and with Steph Curry sidelined, Kuminga suddenly looked reborn. He averaged 20.8 points on 54% shooting, closing the series with 3 straight 20-point performances. That brief resurgence reignited the Warriors' internal dilemma. Kuminga's talent is undeniable, but his fit remains uncertain. Even Steve Kerr has admitted it publicly. Golden State re-signed him not because everything has clicked, but because the upside is too great to let walk away. Yet if it doesn't work this time, Kuminga could easily become the trade chip that reshapes the Warriors' future, just as Andrew Wiggins once was in the deal that brought Jimmy Butler to the Bay. Kuminga isn't just another player. He's the bridge to Golden State's next era or the final bargaining chip of a dynasty on its last breaths. Now, as the Warriors enter the 2025-26 season, their roster finally feels complete, but also fragile. The core is as decorated as ever: Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Al Horford. But they're also older than ever, with 4 starters over the age of 35 and Horford nearing 40. In today's NBA, that doesn't just mean experience. It means wear and tear, slower recovery, and the constant risk that a single injury could unravel an entire season. On most nights, Golden State will be undersized, leaning heavily on small ball spacing and elite shooting to survive. It's the same formula that built their dynasty: speed, shooting, and constant movement. But now it comes with thinner margins. Without true rim protection or dominance on the boards, the Warriors will need to outscore opponents night after night. If the shots stop falling, there's no plan B. That's why the real X factors this year are Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski. Kuminga's athleticism and defensive versatility inject much-needed youth and energy into a veteran roster. His ability to adapt and evolve within the Warriors system could determine whether they're a playoff threat or a fringe contender. Podziemski, meanwhile, quietly became one of Golden State's most consistent scorers last season, shooting 41% from deep after December and delivering clutch playoff performances. If he carries that momentum forward, Pods could be the steady third option the Warriors desperately need next to Steph and Butler. The problem? Golden State has little room to maneuver. With an $80 million luxury tax bill and no flexibility under the new second apron rules, the front office's options are limited. Any major trade swing would almost certainly require moving Draymond Green, a move that could destroy the team's chemistry and identity. So despite all the flaws, age, size, and salary constraints, this remains a dangerous team. Steph, Draymond, and Butler are still among the most battle-tested trios in the league. Curry and Green aren't just the longest tenured duo in basketball. They're living proof that brilliance and chemistry can stand the test of time. But they're not clinging to the past. They're chasing one final chapter. Curry, even at 37, remains the most devastating shooter in history. Despite constant defensive pressure, he hit 311 threes in 70 games last season, his 6th career year, with at least 300 makes from deep. No one else in NBA history has done it more than once. His gravity still bends defenses, his presence still changes every game, and his value remains unmatched. When Curry was on the floor last season, the Warriors outscored opponents by 299 points. Without him, they were outscored by 28. His absence against Minnesota was the only reason Golden State's playoff run ended early. Draymond Green, meanwhile, remains the team's defensive heartbeat. At 35, he's still elite, averaging 9 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and earning his 9th all-defensive team selection. His leadership, communication, and intensity set the tone for everyone around him. He's the system within the system, the glue that keeps the Warriors' identity intact. Then there's Jimmy Butler, the emotional anchor this team didn't know it needed. After his mid-season arrival, Golden State went 23-8 before bowing out in the second round. He brought a defensive edge, a relentless work ethic, and the kind of no-nonsense leadership that instantly raised the Warriors' floor. Now 36 and still chasing his first ring, Butler enters the season locked in, ready to complement Steph and Draymond with the urgency of a man running out of time. Add Al Horford to that core, and the Warriors' projected starting five now averages over 35 years old. This is no longer a team built on speed or athleticism. It's built on IQ, experience, and toughness. Their mission is clear: survive the 82-game grind, stay healthy, and rely on championship pedigree to do the rest come April. But it won't be easy. The Western Conference has never been more stacked. The offseason reshuffled the balance of power like never before. Kevin Durant joining Houston instantly made the Rockets a powerhouse. Dallas, preparing for life after Luka Doncic, drafted Cooper Flagg, one of the most hyped prospects in years. The defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder kept their entire young core intact, led by MVP candidate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Denver still has Nikola Jokic, the best player in the world. And the Lakers, with LeBron and Luka now fully committed, retooled their supporting cast to chase another deep run. Everywhere you look, the West is loaded with elite talent and youth. For the Warriors, it's not about belonging, it's about keeping up. The league is faster, younger, and more athletic than ever, while Golden State is betting everything on wisdom, chemistry, and Curry's brilliance. Still, if their 20-7 post-All-Star break surge and first-round playoff win over Houston proved anything, it's that this team still knows how to compete. As long as Steph, Draymond, and Butler are healthy, Golden State will have a puncher's chance against anyone. The question isn't whether the Warriors can still make noise. It's whether they can withstand the wear and tear long enough to make one more run at glory. The stars are aging, the margin for error is shrinking, and the window is closing fast. But as history has shown, dynasties rarely fade quietly. The Warriors' roster may be built on borrowed time, but they've defied expectations before. One last run, one final shot at immortality. So what do you think? Can the Warriors actually contend this season? Or is the dynasty finally finished? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you believe in one more ring for Steph and company. And subscribe for more deep dives just like this. Because no matter what happens next, this season might just be the Warriors' last stand.